Matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
Oh, welcome in, folks. Lots to cover today. A big weekend, and man, oh man, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose yet again. We've got lots to get to. You can grab the phone and join the program, like I said, at any time. 616-774-2424. Jump on the iHeartRadio app. Click that microphone button right next to the play button there. Either rant, rave, sound off. Gas prices are up. Political violent extremism up in Whitmer, Michigan as well. Over the weekend, a couple attacks you may not have heard of. We'll give you the latest. Come on.
And traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
We're talking about what matters most, whether it's at the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. These are the stories you'll be talking about. All powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. You know, I've been telling you, ringing the alarm bell for quite some time now, that it's time to take advantage. And many people did, saving thousands. There's still a chance that you may be able to save thousands as well. They still may be able to help you, particularly if you have one of those adjustable rate mortgages. If you haven't yet, it is time to make sure you take care of that and get it under lock, folks. We don't know what's coming in the coming days. They want to help you. So make sure you give them a call at 616-974-9105 or hhmlending.com.
Number one.
Hurricane watch issued for the west coast of Florida now as Hurricane Ian. It's such a 2022 name, isn't it? Hurricane Ian. He's headed in. He's very upset. He's threatening to soon arrive, packing powerful winds, they say, dangerous storm surge, and according to the National Hurricane Center, Ian grew to the hurricane strength this morning with winds of 75 miles per hour. They said because the Gulf is so warm, it could actually strengthen even more. Praying for those folks down there as they prepare. That's the first really of the season, hasn't it been? Not a lot going on. Very dangerous attack happened. Guess it was like maybe a week ago, in fact. I had originally gotten some information on this, but I never saw anything in the news, so I wasn't able to confirm that it took place, but I do appreciate the person who reached out to me to let me know about it. An 80-year-old, 83 in fact, shot while knocking doors and telling people about those extreme radical proposals that are on the ballot, particularly the one that allows for any medical treatment, any medical mangling of your child without your parental consent. That would include abortion. That would include gender surgeries. That would include shots at school without your permission, parents. The kid says they want them, well, then they get them. That's how it works. And one person who was out knocking doors to tell people about how dangerous, radical, and extreme they were was shot while she was out doing that activity. More on that story coming up, but also over the weekend, Ottawa County GOP offices were vandalized. And this comes again in Whitmer, Michigan, as crime is on the rise, right along with gas prices. And I'm waiting. While I asked for it over the weekend, I won't hold my breath because it won't happen anytime soon, but I'm waiting for Whitmer, Nessel, and that Democrat leadership to disavow these violent acts of extremism.
Number three.
Yeah. Like I said, I won't hold my breath. Gas prices have jumped again. The average price in Michigan now $3.94 a gallon. The rise comes after refinery issues, including a fire in Ohio we told you about last week. Now, this is not good, particularly for Democrats. Biden has been doing everything he can, selling our soul and our national reserves when it comes to petroleum, and putting our country at risk in order to bring those gas prices down pre-election. He'll stop doing that. Looks like post-election, they'll shoot right back up. But now we're about the $4 a gallon mark, folks. Not good news for him. It's not good news for you or me, the rest of us regular folk who just want to be able to put gas in our car so that we can get to work. But they've forgotten about us. In fact, we're not even close to the top of the list at this point. The reset is on. But have no fear, because good folks are here and they are standing up to make sure that they take, the effort, the steps that need to be taken in order to protect and defend our country. Speaking of which, another Biden administration official out there after these crazy, extremist, violent actions this weekend. Another violent, it seems that way. A Biden administration out there saying that MAGA Republicans are trying to destroy the U.S. I'm sure that'll help cool things down. We'll get into that coming up here in a little bit. But good folks like you, me, and many others participating in something called Operation 2022 Election Overwatch. What is that? We'll get into that coming up. Patrick Colbeck is part of that with Michigan Grassroots. Going to talk a little bit about what that looks like and maybe how you can participate. Another story that came this weekend that I said it's right along the lines of this FBI overreach, the extreme violent activity from folks on the left. You got to remember, I mean, this is not anything new. I know, I understand. Like, it sounds like it might be. This is nothing new. This is the same ideology. The same folks who shot up the Congress on the baseball field. Remember, Steve Scalise they nearly died. If there wouldn't been good people there to stop him, good guys with guns, and this maniac would have been. He would have been completely successful in the assassination of several of these individuals. They're getting ready for that congressional baseball game that day. Do you remember the practice? I think Rand Paul might have been there, or a few others. So the FBI is busy investigating folks like, people that want to go, parents that want to go to school board meetings, have concerns about, pornographic materials, to divisive things being taught in schools as our test scores drop. Concerns about those. And so they want to voice their concerns. They want to get answers. They want to be involved. They want to be engaged. For years, it's wild to me because teachers laughed and they would say, we wish that parents would be engaged. And now the parents finally are. But in a way that those on the left, no, because it's not all teachers, but those on the left that are wacky, the loony left, those folks don't want them. They don't want them to see what's happening. And 2020 was a year that exposed it all. Kids learning from home, parents saying, what in the world are they teaching? This latest story, the FBI has raided the home of a Catholic pro-life speaker, an author. Sounds very, very eerily similar and familiar to some of the other stories. That of the story of Ryan Kelly. They had guns drawn, terrified the kids. All of it caught on tape, apparently. This story is incredible. It comes out of Pennsylvania. A well-known pro-life author, sidewalk counselor, and father of 7, this from LifeSite News, was the latest victim of a U.S. Department of Justice-sponsored SWAT raid and arrest for supposed FACE Act violations. You say, what is that? Well, hang on. We'll get into it. Interesting. At his rural home, as his children looked on screaming, Mark Houck, the founder and president of the Kingsmen, which promotes healing for victims of pornography, addiction, and promotes Christian virtues among men in the United States of America and Europe. According to his wife, Ryan Marie, who spoke with LifeSite News, he also drives 2 hours south of Philadelphia every Wednesday to sidewalk counsel for 6 to 8 hours at 2 different abortion centers. Ryan Marie, who is homeschooling mother, described. Now, see, all of this just tells me extremism. These are good Christian Americans, and they must be extremists. That's the world we live in. But you know what? I want to tell you the truth. Most Americans are like this. They may not have made the jump to this homeschooling yet. They may not have made the jump to some of these activism things yet. But I got to tell you, most Americans are good people, and they recognize this. So something like this that happens is appalling to most Americans. She described the SWAT team of 25 to 30 FBI agents swarming their property with around 15 vehicles at 7:05 in the morning, quickly surrounding the house with rifles in firing position. They started pounding on the door and yelling for the house to open it. Before opening the door, she explained her husband tried to calm them, saying, "Please, I'm going to open the door, but please, my children are in the home. I have 7 babies in the house." They should know that, and they probably did as the FBI. What was his crime? As they kept pounding and screaming. It was a violation of the FACE Act. FACE. That's what they're talking about. The FACE Act. Now, what exactly is that, and what happened? What would compel the FBI to show up at their home? By the way, you know there's no suspect in this case where this woman was shot here in Michigan. No suspect there. We don't have any actual answers there. We don't know what took place. Some people making the case, and they say that she herself said they don't know the motive. They don't know who did this exactly when she was attacked. Shot in the back. But I'll tell you this. It's interesting because whether this was politically motivated or not, they say, we'll have to wait and see. Whether it was politically motivated or not, it just goes to show violence is through the roof in Whitmer's, Michigan. Dana Nessel, who is the chief law enforcement officer in this state, is busy trying to get a drag queen in every school. Oh, it's no joke. It's no laughing matter. It's not funny at all. This is Biden's America, Whitmer's, Michigan. This is the reality. Mark Houck, the FACE Act that came to his door was the SWAT team, apparently. Here's why. In October of 2021, he was counseling on the sidewalk, as he does every Wednesday, when a pro-abortion protester leading people into the building threatened his son and yelled obscenities at him. Houck then pushed the man away from his son. He was never charged for it. The man tried unsuccessfully to sue him. That was all until yesterday. Well, the 23rd, let's put it that way. When his wife, according to his wife, 25 to 30 armed FBI agents raided their home at 7:05 a.m. His wife said they entered the home, pointed rifles at them and their kids as they began screaming. His wife and kids watched as they arrested Mark Houck. That's the FACE Act. He's now facing a maximum sentence of 11 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and fines of up to $350,000, all because he pushed a Planned Parenthood volunteer to the ground who got in his son's personal space and yelled obscenities to him. He's being charged by the Biden Department of Justice, the DOJ, with a law called the Freedom of Access to Clinics Entrances Act, the FACE Act, which makes it a federal crime to injure, intimidate, and interfere with anyone because that person is a provider of, quote, reproductive health care. So a man who does nothing but run an organization that teaches men to be strong Catholics, sidewalk councils outside of Planned Parenthoods, had 30 armed federal agents sent to his house and is now facing jail time over an incident that resulted in a failed lawsuit. A failed lawsuit, folks. This comes after, of course, the unprecedented raid, the FBI in President Trump's home. Some obscure federal law nobody's ever even heard of. Now he's had 30 FBI agents show up at his house, rifles pointed, facing 11 years in jail. But, I have yet to see the FBI investigate and hold responsible anyone for nearly 100 attacks, including firebombs, vandalism, all the rest on pro-life pregnancy centers. But this man, a pro-life activist who pushed a Planned Parenthood volunteer threatening his son, now facing 11 years in jail. There is a Give, Send, Go. I have retweeted it. If you'd like to help raise money, you'll be able to see the picture of those kids, the entire family. In fact, I'm sharing it right now over on the behind-the-scenes live stream, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Getter. But this is Biden's America. This is the world we live in today. Be careful and be warned. A young man was killed last week by an unhinged loony leftist who stalked and attacked the kid, ran him over because he felt he was a MAGA extremist. Biden and his rhetoric responsible. The uniter in chief he wanted to be. Now dividing Americans more than ever. Crime is through the roof. Insanity rules the day. Gas prices jumping up again. People can barely afford to put food on the table and gas in their car at the same time just to go to that job where they have to work so that they can put food on the table and gas in their car to barely be able to afford to do both. And wait until winter comes. The rising costs of energy right now through the roof. I've got good news, though. We'll get into that coming up. You're definitely going to want to hear this. You're thinking to yourself, oh, my goodness, I'm going to need some after that segment. Well, I got to tell you the truth. So I give you that, but we'll also tell you about the good things that are happening, too, today, folks. Stand by. We're back in moments. It's West Michigan Live. I'm Justin Barclay. You've heard a lot about masculinity and how toxic it can be these days. Oh, you've heard the back and forth on all of it. And what exactly makes a man? Well, the folks at Mentality, they know that this is no laughing matter, especially when it comes to the scientific reasoning of your hormone levels. And there are so many reasons today, man, that we're being attacked on all fronts when it comes to our hormone levels. The things that we wear, the things that we eat, they can affect our hormone level. Just the natural aging process does it on top of it all. You may be suffering from low testosterone. If you've got anxiety and depression, impatience, irritability, feeling anxious and moody, any of those things, weight gain, muscle loss, you might want to get tested. Mentality can help today. They've got FDA-approved testosterone treatments, board-certified physicians who work with most insurance companies. Mentality, a local healthcare facility specifically dedicated to helping men feel and perform at their best. Go get your testosterone levels checked. I did see a report on this. There was a study that was just done, and I got, you can't make this up. It's beautiful. But folks who had their testosterone levels adjusted, and they got the testosterone therapies or treatments, etc., ended up voting Republican. And these would be like millennials who were kind of leaning left. They ended up voting Republican after they had those adjustments made. Isn't that something? No wonder we're under attack. Stop the attack today. Take your life back. Go to Mentality today at lowtusa.com. That's low T, the letter T, USA.com. lowtusa.com today.
Live free with Jacobs Financial.
If you're retiring soon, you need to stop what you're doing and hear this. Jacobs Financial has the ability to instantly increase your retirement account by 30%. That's right, 30% on top of whatever you roll over to Jacobs Financial. Or you could choose a fixed product paying 4.3% for the first 3 years, guaranteed.
All right, good morning, folks on Facebook. Appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to say good morning. I see Ladina in here, Matt and Tyler and Sherry and Dwayne, Michelle. We got the cool kids, Wanda, Steve. Appreciate y'all being here with us this morning. Make sure you click share this today so folks can actually see what's happening and see some of these stories. They're not going to hear them anywhere else. Crabtree G, Faye, Nancy, Aaron Sharp, HW, Blue Angel, Tom over on Rumble, the Rumblers this morning. Rumbling on in. Good morning, Josh and Flatlander and Miles, many others hanging out over today on Getter. We appreciate you being here with us. Hang on one second. We got our next guest popping in just a moment. I just want to check the audio. Pat, and you hear me?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Hang on one second. Be right back. Looking good, sounding good. We'll be ready to go. Pat's got good news and stories that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. How can you take a stand and fight back? We'll get into that coming up in a productive way. All right, folks, stand by. Back at it. Coming up in just moments, the good news you're going to want to hear. Patrick Colbeck joins us with an announcement regarding 2022 election integrity. I've got a news story out of Flint, in fact, some good news. A clerk resigning. You're going to want to hear all of it coming up. We'll give you the latest after our news, bottom of the hour. It's West Michigan Live. I'm Justin Barclay on Wood Radio. Got some good ones, folks. I promise you that much. Pat, good morning. Lots of folks saying hey and good morning to you. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. It's definitely going to be a fun week, I have a feeling.
So I got this story. You probably saw this.
Yeah.
Flint, Michigan clerk resigns after election group calls out lopsided number of Democrat poll watchers.
Yep. About time they were held accountable. It's not just in Flint, it's Detroit, all across the state, as a matter of fact.
What do you mean? So they weren't following the law?
They were not following the law, which, ties into the big release that I wanted to talk to you about. There's been so much lawlessness in our elections and everybody's just turned the other way, including our legislators up in Lansing. Well, the people, everyday citizens all across our state, frankly, all across our country said enough is enough. We know what the laws are. We know what the Constitution says, and we're going to make sure that people understand that we're watching them and holding them accountable to following those laws.
Well, I got to tell you, I am. Somebody gave me a brand new bed to talk about, music bed here to talk about theme song for Jocelyn Benson.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to let you guys have a little I can't play a lot of it because I'll get hit for copyright here, but this is what I'm going to play on the air when we go on the air to talk a little bit about this. I don't know if you've heard this song, but it's called Breaking the Law. And it's by, who is it? Oh, Judas Priest. I'm sure you were.
Yes,
you were
on my hit list. But
I was going to say, I'm sure you were a big Judas Priest fan.
Well, you broke the law and the law won, or something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, Breaking the Law. That's the new theme song. I thought, okay, that's a good one. So we've got Evil Woman for Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know if you ever heard that one. That's
yeah.
But you could play that for all three of those, the Evil Trinity.
I think for Nestle we could do It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, listen, we got lots to cover this morning, so we're going to get into that. But Pat, thank you for coming on, because you're going to talk about these things that just aren't getting covered. We're just not seeing the news on this stuff, and it's important. Hang on one second, folks. Stand by. We've got a Rona report you won't want to miss either, folks. That's a big one coming up. Big one coming up. All right, let me check on our. Okay. Back on the air here, just moments. All right, here we go, folks. Stand by.
Our team is here from bell to bell to serve you with our easy sales process. Always open the longest hours. Person at 4575 Plainfield Avenue, Northeast, or anytime online at KiaGrandRapidsStore.com. Kia in a Kia today. The dollar is in grave danger as Russia and China recruit more nations into their anti-dollar alliance known as BRICS. If this continues, how much longer until the dollar is worthless? Stephen K. Bannon here. I urge you to get Birch Gold's free info kit on safeguarding your savings into a gold IRA. To get your free copy, text the word safeguard to 989898. With inflation continuing to explode, it's critical you take action today. Text safeguard to 989898 right now.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck, and I invite you to join me along with Stu this morning at 10:06 for the very latest on the news, what's happening, commentary, making sense of the world. It's aptly named the Glenn Beck Program. Coming up, Wood Radio.
Welcome back in. Yes, we have the latest. Last week we heard again Jocelyn Benson possibly breaking the law again. That's what she's being accused of in a new lawsuit that says she's used some third-party Soros-funded, allegedly, a company called Eric to go through and do the purging of the qualified voter file. The most lawless Secretary of State in the history of Michigan. She's already been accordingly told by a judge here that she broke the law when she said in 2020 that clerks didn't have to inspect those absentee ballot signatures. So what in the world is going on now? We have a news story that just came out. Better talk about that and some good news you're going to want to hear about coming up in just moments. Patrick Colbeck joins us now. Pat, appreciate you being here with us. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm happy to see that people are finally starting to stand up to this lawless Jocelyn Benson.
Flint, Michigan. The clerk has resigned after elections group has called out lopsided number of Democrat poll watchers. I want to get to your story and how folks can help out in coming up in just a little bit, but this is some interesting news. In fact, I don't remember really seeing any of this on anywhere on the nightly news or the local network. I don't see. And so what happened here? Flint's longtime city clerk stepped down. What happened, Pat?
Well, they called her out for not following the law. So under Michigan law, you're supposed to have equal representation of Republicans and Democrats as poll workers wherever possible. And there were examples, pure integrity for Michigan elections are some of those meddling kids that have been bird dogging this issue. And we've also been watching what's going on in Detroit, which has similar egregious violations of that law. And it's just the latest in a series of violations of our Michigan election laws that, you know, people are standing up and saying, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to make sure that you're held accountable for your violations. And this clerk felt that the kitchen was getting a little bit too hot for comfort and decided to get out of Dodge before any further actions could be taken. So
why would that be important? Specifically, why would we want equal representation when it comes to these election workers?
because otherwise you have two Democrats signing off on the election results, which means nobody's providing any checks and balances on the election records. And so
And
we
how long
already
has that been going on here in Flint?
decades, decades.
Hmm.
And so finally people are stepping up. And I'm proud of the folks out at PIME, folks out at MC4AI, Election Integrity Force. We've got the Auto Impact Group. There are so many groups all across our state that are standing up to say enough is enough, and we're binding together. And it's not just here in Michigan, it's all across the country. And it's really encouraging, especially in the wake of a media that is trying to discourage everybody, saying nothing's going to change. You guys just may as well sit at home. You guys are, if you do anything, we're going to accuse you of being domestic terrorists and all this kind of. They're trying to do everything they can to push us into a little box and demoralize us and keep us from going out and voting and making our voices heard. And folks like PIME and MC4AI, et cetera, they're all standing up saying, nope, not on our watch. We're actually going to make sure they're held accountable.
There's news today. In fact, I promised folks good news, especially after we heard the latest this morning. This 80-year-old woman attacked while she was out knocking on doors, trying to talk to people about this very extreme and radical proposal on the ballot.
Yeah.
That would literally put in the Constitution that kids could have any medical treatment done at all to them. They could be maimed medically by anybody. Wouldn't even have to be a doctor. And the parents, they don't need their parents' signature or permission, consent when it comes to gender surgeries, abortions at any age. That means they could be molested by someone, taken to the abortion place by that molester, by that sick individual, that person. I wouldn't need the parents there present to sign off. That could happen, and that child could then be victimized over and over again. These are horrific things. On top of that, we're also hearing that without the parents' consent, that means their kids could be given shots of any kind in school at all without the parents' permission. These are very extreme things. A woman was out; she's 83 years old, knocking on doors, and apparently was shot in the process after an argument took place. The story that I heard last week, in fact, was that the woman's house that she knocked on the door was not happy she was there. She was not happy with her at all. And of course, we don't know exactly the full details about what transpired next or who she exactly was shot by, but she was shot in the back, had to drive herself to the hospital. These are horrible things that are happening all around us. These are very violent. These are extremist things that are happening all around us. And yet we don't have anybody locked up for this. We got folks on the left screaming, hey, you got, you MAGA Republicans, you people who just want traditional, I don't know, call me crazy, but want parents to have a say in their kids' lives. You're the crazy ones. But people they're not buying this in so many different ways. And I think your story this morning is good news that people need to hear. Michigan Grassroots Alliance, the press release has come out. It's called Operation 2022 Election Overwatch. Tell us what this is exactly and what folks need to know.
Well, as your story that you're just talking about kind of alludes to, is that there's this big push to discourage us from letting our voices be heard. So it started with the Red speech by Joe Biden out in Philadelphia, where he was calling folks like myself and yourself and most folks who believe in the rule of law enemies of the state. And that led to violent acts in North Dakota, where a Republican was ran over by a guy who disagreed with his political views.
Yeah, a kid.
Yeah. And then, so you just relayed the story about a woman canvassing against this ballot proposal number 3, which frankly, it goes even deeper than what you explained. It actually removes the ability to have any statutory restrictions on sexual acts whatsoever. If you read the actual constitutional amendment, which means that, pedophilia, all that stuff is fair game nowadays. There's no age of consent laws, none of that stuff. So it is pretty bad. And same thing with proposal 2. It's pretty bad. And that deals with the election. So what we're trying to do is highlight that, guys, we are a nation of laws, and we want to make sure that people are held accountable for violations of the law. So This morning, I released a press release supported by organizations not just all across Michigan, but all across the country that states that the Operation Overwatch for the 2022 election is now active. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that. This is a case where, back in 2020, we were largely reactive in our identification of election fraud activities. In 2022, we know what they did to steal the election in 2020. We know what to look for. And this time, I'm happy to say there are a lot of components in place to show that we are indeed proactive regarding the safeguarding the integrity of the election.
So, what will these folks be doing? Because I've heard some stories about some folks who will be, keeping watch at drop boxes. I've heard stories about people who are getting involved and going to be there at the precincts on those days. What will folks be doing? What is that activity?
We're going to be engaged as poll workers, as poll challengers. We've got people planning tailgate parties out at drop boxes, making sure we monitor them. And even if we're not monitoring directly or physically with somebody in a tailgate party atmosphere, we've got access to technology that can help us with that as well. There's a lot of other activities that are going on all across the state that the best part is we've actually got groups like Election Integrity Force proactively doing poll challenging. So when a voter, for example, is issued a ballot that is not a valid voter, they can challenge it proactively rather than waiting for the votes to be tallied out at the polls, because we can understand who's actually receiving an absentee ballot. We can track that information, and if that person's on our invalid voter list, then we can go off and challenge that proactively. So there's a lot of good things that are being put in place right now that I'm really proud of, all the different grassroots organizations and some of the law enforcement officers that we've been working with over the last couple of years. They're stepping up as well. And we've also identified some prosecutors and judges that are willing to actually enforce the law and not just be biased by the biased media coverage that we're getting.
This is very important. Folks are stepping up. They're getting involved in a process, and maybe you want to get involved too. Patrick, what can people do if they want to make sure that they are taking part in this?
First thing is share the information that we have. And if you go to migrassrootsalliance.org, you can get not only a full transcript of the press release that we sent out today, because I think it's very important for people to understand what we're proposing is the enforcement of lawless we're enforcement of lawful activities. Excuse me. I want to make sure, and we're going to hold people accountable for lawless activities. And so we just list all the examples of these lawless activities that we want to make sure people understand that you're not going to get away with it in a vacuum anymore. We are watching. So share that information, share that press release. Also, if you go to that website, you'll see a list of the Operation Overwatch supporters. They include not only myself and Mike Lindell, but the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, the Black Robe Regiment, which is a collection of pastors all across the country. We got Cause for America. We got lawyers like Jenna Ellis. We got folks like the grassroots groups like the Michigan Conservative Coalition and True North Patriots and Stand Up Michigan, as well as Pure Integrity for Michigan Elections, all standing with us. So this is a big deal. We got a large group of people behind us. And if you want to support it, well, you can add your name to the list of people supporting this endeavor. And there's a little sign up key down there in the bottom. And also, more importantly, share this press release, because they're trying to keep us away from the polls. They're trying to intimidate us into not highlighting bad stuff when we see it happening. And we need to sit there and say, nope, you guys can try to bully us all you want here, but we're gonna follow the law. We're gonna ensure that other people are following the law. When we see them breaking the law, we're gonna get it to the authorities who can help enforce the law. So be encouraged. Even we don't. A lot of people are looking for laws to be changed in the state of Michigan. We had over 15 election laws that were violated in the last election. What we lacked was enforcement. Now, what this Operation Overwatch is doing is highlighting to people that we are indeed focused on enforcement this time. We're collecting evidence, and we're going to see them in court if they decide to break the law.
There you have it, folks. We gotta push forward. Each of us has a role to play. Who knows what that is for each of you? I mean, you gotta ask the Lord what that is. But that's the thing is, and we had the thing on this in church this weekend, talking about how God moves and how He works. He works through us, individuals who are called to do what we're called, whatever it is that you're called to do. We got to move. We got to be His hands and feet sometimes, and that's what it is that we're called to do right now. Is make sure that we've got, we see this country, we see the rule of law restored. We see these things come through in a positive way. Patrick Colbeck and the rest of you folks are already on the march. You're on the move, and we appreciate everything you do. Pat, again, letsfixstuff.org is his website. You can go to the website, migrassrootsalliance.org, to find out more, and keep us posted on this, because I know this is a dynamic issue. It's constantly changing. Keep us posted on all the latest on all of these things as well as they continue to move forward.
Will do. And please support the groups that are supporting this effort, because we know they're going to get attacked. We know they're going to get vilified. And they knew it as well, but they did it anyway. And it's folks like that that truly need your support. So please support them with, volunteer, support them by getting the word out about their organizations, and also financially support them if you can.
I know you say you're going to do some tailgating at drop boxes. Do you have any fear or maybe just some excitement possibly about Dana Nessel showing up? She loves tailgating.
Yeah, we may have to rebrand it here to put it in a code word so we don't attract her. I don't know.
Sure,
but if she wants to find out, and help safeguard the elections, I'm all in. If she wants to actually help people follow the law for a change, I want to encourage that behavior. So maybe we should have more tailgates and maybe near Lansing.
What are the odds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pat Colbeck, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it today.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Not gonna lie.
You too. Make it a great day. God bless. Folks, there you have it. You don't think Dana Nessel's going to show up? Yeah, I mean, at one of those ballot box tailgates? What do you think? Come on now.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
All right, Dana. Taking a quick break. We're back with more in just minutes. Hang on. All right, couple of things. I see some really weird activity in my chat today. Couple of you may know who you are, and I'm going to take it easy as I can on you. But I see some just weird things coming from folks. You're not really paying attention to Democrat attack ads, are you? Melissa, what you're saying about John Gibbs in here just blows my mind. You've heard him, you've seen him talking here. I don't know how many times. You're going to believe a commercial, a Democrat attack ad commercial. And I see you said you sent something to me. I haven't seen it. Resend it. But I know the full story on this. It took me 2 seconds to do the research and find out the accusation was from a kind of a joke that John had pulled back in his Harvard days in 2000 when he was a kid. It was never serious saying that women shouldn't vote. I can't believe you would even take that seriously. I can't. It is lack of discernment, Ladina. That is exactly it. Folks, you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful. You are going to be from here for the next 6 weeks. You're going to be hit with so many different attacks. What is the alternative? If you don't vote for Gibbs, who would you vote for? The Democrat Hillary Scholten, who wants the abortions, who wants the illegals coming across the border, who wants the borders wide open, who wants the crime, is riding with Biden. I mean, that's who you're talking about. Attack ads are designed to sway votes, but they're designed to sway votes among the uninformed. And I don't think anybody in here is uninformed. If you've been with us and I recognize your name, you've been here long enough for me to know that. Come on. We've got to use discernment. Please feel free to ask me questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. But don't then come in here and go, oh, here's what I saw, and then here's the, and then share links around. You're actually making the case for them. And I don't want to have to block people in here. But if you're going to be in here doing things like that, you got folks, it's too important. This election is too important. And you're being pulled by the nose by all these negative attack ads and things like that. I just can't believe it. But I guess maybe that's why they work. Oh, man. Get that off my chest. Steve, this is why we're in this mess. Stand by, folks. Back after this. I want to thank one of the fine supporters of this program who makes this possible every day. Folks at ProTech Heating and Cooling. You know, maybe your furnace, have you fired? I haven't done it yet. I have just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Oh, man. I haven't caved. I am so close. But I haven't caved just yet. The furnace is not on before you have to fire it up, and that'll be sooner than later. You might as well get it checked out. Get your furnace looked at. Get the inspection done for the folks I trust. ProTech Heating and Cooling. Visit protectgr.com or call 616-453-5000. That's 616-453-5000. ProTech Heating and Cooling. And when you talk to them, say thank you. Thank you for supporting this program because it goes so far. We wouldn't be here without them. They're here either without you. That's why we're glad that you're here today as well. Saki knows, folks. Saki knows. She's made a triumphant comeback.
Girl, stop your feet like
There she
this.
is.
2 times you've been around that track, so it's not just gonna happen like that, 'cause it ain't no
Circle back.
girl, ain't no
Circle back.
Oh, yeah. She circled back all right.
track, so it's not just gonna
She's on, was it something over the weekend? One of these shows, pundit shows. Oh, it's NBC. Because she works for them now, doesn't she? So let me get this right. Went from the Biden administration to PMSNBC, and now here she is on NBC News over the weekend. She is the NBC News contributor, being asked about the races in the midterms here in 2022 in November. Here's what she had to say. Listen carefully. She knows.
If it is a referendum on the president, they will lose. And they know that. They also know that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. I would say one of the biggest vulnerabilities is a referendum on the president, they will lose. And
So here is, I'm going to boil this all down. What you will see again from now to November. Very simple. You will see Democrats try to paint Republicans as extremists, like you have seen over the last, several weeks now, ever since Biden's blood red speech. You will see them try to paint them as radicals. I mean, the truth couldn't be further from it. In fact, the folks on the left are the radicals. They don't want you to focus on the president. They don't want you to focus on crime, because if and when you do, they lose. In other words, they want you to focus on reality. What they want you to do is focus on this idea that, no, Republicans are the crazy ones. They're the wacko ones. Those with the traditional ideas that believe that you should not obviously have your kids right to say what happens to your children in school, etc. Those are the issues. More on that, by the way, and a load of good news amongst other things. Did you see now blow up trying to blow up an asteroid today. What could go wrong? Oh, we'll talk about it about the after show. Yes, it's the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. Streaming live over on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Getter, along with JustinBarclay.com. You want to listen to the podcast, you can, of this show and, of course, the after show. Get it at the iHeartRadio app. Search West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay. We'll keep you posted. Back tomorrow morning at 6, God willing. Make it a great day, folks. God bless. Okay. So it looks like our feed is breaking up a little bit. Nothing I can do about that. That's an internet connection problem. Looks like we are 8 out of 10 on internet connection. I can just try and refresh, but I don't know what that'll do to everything. So I'll give it a shot. I don't know if that worked or not. Still have an 8 out of 10 on connection, which should be good, but may not be. Rumblers, can you still see me and hear me? A little better, it says. Okay. Sounds like a connection problem. All right. Well, hopefully it resolves itself. The microphone scratchy. Looks good and sounds good on our end. Unfortunately, if you want over, you can listen. You can make comments here. You can listen. Let me pull the link. It's a different. Yeah. A little bit not perfect. Okay, so here's something. You can listen here and stay in the chat if you want to. I don't know if that's too much for you, but there you have it. It's all when I talk. That's interesting. They're going to blow up the asteroid. They're going to try to crash into it and change its course. Okay. That still didn't make me feel any better, Steve. I don't know about you. Oh, man. Okay, so everybody should have that link now. If you want to listen, you can listen there, and then okay, I'm gonna get into everything. Hopefully, this fixes itself. Now it's 4 out of 10. That's not good. I try to refresh. I try to do everything I could. Let's see if there's anything else I can do in the meantime here. Let's see if I can. Yeah, the picture's fuzzy for me too. I don't know. I think we're being messed with. I think somebody is in here. Let me get my tinfoil hat out. I think somebody's in here messing with us. All righty then. Let's fire things up, huh? Don't click video on the link. Click the podcast. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. Audio only under the video. Here's what that looks like, just in case you're trying to listen. Okay, so you'll be taken to this page. Don't click this. It'll automatically playing. Pause that, and then click this red button down here. This is the afro. This is the audio only. You're trying to sound audio only. So click just play button and play this in order to get audio. You can still stay in the chat if you like, but that's what it looks like. Does that make any sense? I know Ross would just keep chatting on there or not. They don't care with each other. They're just having a good time with it anyway. I find that. I love it. Let me see. One more thing. And then I think we can get going. All right, here we go. Let's fire this thing up. Oh boy. What in the heck happened? Somebody has messed with our. What in the heck is this? I'm gonna have to go find our music, guys. That is not the official opening of the after show. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. There it. All right. Yeah, we're being messed with all around today, aren't we? Get my file out. I think somebody is out here messing with us. Here you just keep your you can just keep your Facebook open. Mute the Facebook. Then you'd listen to the other off stream. All right, stand by, folks. Here we go. To the after show, folks. It's a show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. Yes, the creative genius is just pours members of our crack staff. And by staff, I mean me. It's all it is right here. Just me. And then there's you. And that's how this whole works, actually. It's a collaboration. In fact, a lot of the things that we could talk about, share, and even some ideas for T-shirts and stuff come from folks in the chat. All right, folks in the chat, by the way, telling me that we don't sound good because there's some sort of issue with the audio. Don't listen on Facebook anymore. Listen at justinbarclay.com/aftershow. That's where you need to go. Right, collusion, I think. Spirits. Jessica said, that's much better to listen. Thanks for making sure we can still hear the truth. My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. So lots to discuss today. Top of the thing is going to be this jump in gas prices. Imagine where they would be. We had refinery fires. You imagine right now if Biden hadn't gone out there trying to, in front of an election, bring down the prices. We're paying, again, near $4 a gallon here in Michigan. That's the average here in Michigan because of the refinery fire that happened in Ohio maybe about a week or so back. Maybe about a week or so back. So it is, I think we'd be dang near $5, if not more. $5 a gallon. Rumble's going to be choppy too because it all comes through the same feed. Although I'm seeing now we have a connection of 9 out of 10 for folks in the chat. 9 out of 10. Maybe our internet's getting better. I don't know what's happening. Maybe someone saw that they couldn't knock us offline, so they've given up. I don't know. But hopefully that's set. Folks, imagine where the gas prices are going to be post-election. Think about this. What is going to happen after the election? I've talked about it. Biden is artificially bringing the gas prices down before the election so that they have better chances, better odds. Everything Biden touches turns to you know what. Did you know the stock market, by the way? I didn't even talk about that. Can you imagine a world where things are so crazy, the news is so nuts? I don't even talk about the stock market crash from Friday. The stock market now, since Biden has taken office, has lost almost $7.5 trillion.
The markets are set to open after an absolutely brutal week on Wall Street. Stocks now down $7.6 trillion since President Biden took office.
By the way, they're down even more today. They're down 168 points. Dow Jones down 168 points. NASDAQ is up. S&P down. The VIX, that's a volatility index. That thing is down. Down even more. She said $7.6 trillion since Biden took office. There's a reason I say that way. Down $7.6 trillion. But you know, the thing about this gas prices, it's the same with energy prices altogether. Folks are going to get a rude awakening when it comes to what you're going to pay. You're going to pay when it comes to how much everything is going to cost post-election, because he's been out there artificially trying to lower the price of gas right now, and it's worked a little bit, emptying our national strategic reserves, bringing the prices down, but he's going to stop doing that right around the time that the election happens. After the election, he'll quit messing with it. And you'll see the gas prices jump even higher. Because the truth is, they don't care about price of gas. They don't care about it. They don't care about me or you. They can absorb a little bit of that price of gas. Doesn't matter. What you just said about Biden would make a good shirt. What was that, April? I missed that one. Chat's on fire today. And Melissa, hopefully I didn't. I hope if you're still here, hopefully I didn't. And if anybody knows her, please tell her to come back. I wasn't trying to be hard on her, but I want to give the truth about what's happening. And I hope she's still around. But if I drove her away, I'm sorry. See, the Democrats want us to think about and focus on this is Whitmer here. This is all of the folks in the midterms. Do you know that usually every single midterm after a president is elected, when it comes to things like this, every single midterm they lose seats, they are afraid it's going to be a bloodbath. They're doing everything they can. And as I played it for you earlier, Psaki said they know. They know that if the conversation is on the reality, which is reality is gas prices are through the roof, everything costs more, the stock market has lost $7.6 trillion. In other words, if it's a referendum on Biden, they lose. If you talk about how crime is ridiculous, it's a referendum on Biden, they lose.
If it is a referendum on the president, they will lose. And they know that. They also know that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. I would say one of the biggest vulnerabilities.
It's the vulnerability because Democrats are out there saying defund the police. They got what they asked for. They've got what they asked for. So this is important. It's important to note. When they do things like what John Gibbs, they're spending all this money right now. Do you remember the ad the Democrats paid for and they ran for Peter Meyer? Do you remember that ad? I told you why they were running it when they first ran it. And they came out and said, oh no, remember, because they said, no, we're running these ads for John Gibbs. And then Peter said, the Democrats are running ads for John Gibbs because they want to see him take on blah, blah, blah. No, they were running the ads for John Gibbs because they knew he was going to be Peter Meyer. They knew he was going to beat Peter Meyer. All the polling told them so. Even them getting involved, telling people to come out and vote for Meyer. Didn't work. Even, what's his name? Kinzinger coming into town, trying to, send people out from out of town, knocking on doors, placing signs. Didn't work. None of it worked. None of it worked. So what they were trying to do here in the Gibbs case is they're trying to paint him like some radical extremist, saying that he says that he doesn't think women should vote. There are I'm going to say you could probably find 5 guys at a bar somewhere, not at the same bar, but they're probably at separate bars throughout the country that may think that. I don't know. They're trying to paint this guy as an extremist, and he's nothing but. I think I love that new idea for the shirt. Everything Biden touches turn to, and then poop emoji, like a poop emoji. You think we could make that work? I don't know. Yes, Ann Meyer's refusing to back John Gibbs, which tells you everything you need to know about all this. This was just really sad. It's a really sad situation altogether. But they're trying to paint the Republicans, who are the most reasonable in the room, they're trying to paint them as extremists. That's the point of all of this. The same with Whitmer. She wants to say Tudor Dixon's an extremist. She's just a mom who decided to run for this office so that she could make a difference. She's not establishment, by the way. I've heard seen some of that and heard some of that. You wouldn't know. You would have no idea the conversations I've been able to have with her in the campaign. She's not establishment by any means at all. Having known where she got her start. And matter of fact, I said I liked all of these people. I like Ryan. I like Garrett. I even liked Ralph. I like Tudor. I didn't really know Rinky. But I had a chance to meet and see all those folks on the ground floor and the grassroots leading up to this whole thing before Tudor ever decided she was or ever said she was going to run for anything. I'd see Tudor and Ryan at the same event. So I throw that out there to tell you because it's true. all of this stuff, all of these things in the back, this all designed for one reason and one reason only. And that's to get you to question these people and to stay home. They know if they can get you to question these things or get you to stay home, well, then, hey, all's done. All's good. We can sway the election. We can move things in our direction because they know that a loss like they've never seen before is potential on the horizon. But that only happens if people come out and vote. And if you don't vote, and if we reelect Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, do you realize the message that's going to send to folks? Not just Gretchen, but Mayor Pete, who's newly a resident of Michigan, wants to be at the spotlight. Can you imagine what message that they could do anything to us? They could do anything to us. And they'd be unchecked. It's really something, isn't it? And yet that's where we are. Sorry, I get a little fired up about this stuff because it's true. I don't think people realize the seriousness of what we face. I've got the live chat started over on Locals. If you are a supporter over on Locals, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go over and do that. Definitely helpful. I got to give a shout out to one of our latest supporters. Let me make sure I got the name here. Sip Singh. Sip Singh. Now, I don't know if I can tell who Sip Singh is. But let's see if I can get an actual name. If you send me a little message or a little comment and tell me who you are, I can look you up. Oh, I might be able to look you up right here. It looks like. Hang on. Let me see if I can get a name. Sip Singh. Sip Singh is the newest yearly. Now, I don't think I can tell what your actual name is. Sip Singh's from Caledonia. Thank you for the yearly support. You can support for just $7 a week or a month, rather. $7 a month. And if you'd like, on top of that, the yearly supporters are able to support and get 2 months free. The annual support. Anybody that becomes a supporter gets access to my audiobook free. Good news, hope, and encouragement for trying times. Lots of extras in there. Plus, you get like a big discount, a supporter-only discount on goods and stuff that's in the store. Maybe that new shirt that we were just talking about. That's it, Grump. Sip and sing. And the chat is now open. If you want to send me something and there's something that you think I must see, you will get it seen over there on the, I've got it set up on the chat right now. Stephen makes a great point. People pushing for Donna or against Tudor. You're only helping Whitmer. I did see Pops make that point today that he had seen something and he liked Donna Brandon. I don't care who you like. I liked all of the candidates. I liked Ryan. I liked Garrett. I liked Ralph. But once Tudor became the nominee, she was my pick. Why? Because a vote for anybody else is a vote for Gretchen Whitmer. Now, did you see, and I don't know, Pops, I don't know if you saw this, and I haven't talked about this because, you know, I didn't even think I needed to talk about this because so few people even know about this stuff. That's why I don't spend time. I don't spend time talking about these things because I don't want to bring more light or attention to it. But here it is. This is Donna Brandenburg's lieutenant governor. She's on the ballot. She's on the ballot with Donna. Melissa Carone has endorsed Tudor Dixon for governor. She's on the ballot with Donna, yet she's endorsed Tudor Dixon. Folks, that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, we've got to be, and look, we got 6 weeks here, folks. The fact that you and I are still having these conversations is mind blowing to me. Republicans, the right, we always find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. How will we figure out a way? It's like we're the Lions. You know, if you watched that game yesterday, we were at a family gathering and the Lions were up. Lions were way up. And of course, they found a way to lose it. We always look for a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I don't know how we do it, but it's like it's a long time tradition, time honored. Folks, the fact we're still having these conversations blows my mind. The country is crumbling before our very eyes, and we're sitting here having these conversations about whether or not have they passed our purity test. Well, I don't know if I like this, and I don't know if I like that, and I don't know if I don't like anybody 100%. You're never going to. You think the Democrats do that? What is the word for rhino? Do you know what the Democrat word for rhino is? They don't have one. They don't have one. Tudor's standing up. She's fighting back. And I got to tell you, folks, I love what I've seen over the last couple of weeks. She's standing up and she's fighting back. If you're not following her on Twitter, if you're not following her on Facebook, it's time to do that. Make sure you get in there and you make sure you're following her, because she's been, I think she tweeted some great things, but she's been out doing some things that you're going to want to see, because she's going to tell you where she's going to be. They had a huge rally, Donald Trump Jr. in Muskegon on Friday. It was amazing. This is Tudor Dixon's Twitter feed right now. In radical sex and gender activism in our schools. Gretchen, I heard you're very worried about political rhetoric. Will you condemn your supporters who did this to the Ottawa GOP? Donald Trump Jr. knows a red wave is coming to Michigan this November, from Muskegon to Midland, from Coldwater to Copper Harbor. Thank you, Don, for your dedication to saving Michigan from Whitmer's extreme liberal policies. If you're not following her, if you're not checked in, you're never going to know. Whitmer claims she didn't know Ford was investing billions outside of Michigan, forcing her to admit to dysfunction in her economic development strategy. It's time to get serious, bring back auto jobs, and make Michigan open for business. Look at this. Did you see this, folks, over the weekend? This guy, Stephen Lloyd, tweeted these photos. The choice is yours, Michigan. This is a picture, and I know if kids are watching, avert your eyes. This is a picture of Gretchen with the lieutenant governor, and I don't even know what's going on here in the middle, so I won't even talk about that. But is that appropriate? Of course, that picture versus in contrast with Tudor and her family. And Steven said, the choice is yours, Michigan. I don't know who that guy is, but that's hilarious. Tudor retweets and says, pretty much sums it up. Michigan, everything is on the line this November. Our kids' educations, our jobs, our business, our public safety. It's time to get Michigan back on track. Here's a little bit from that rally that happened on Friday.
We say we want parents to choose. Have dollars follow the child. We will return Michigan to a state where American-made means Michigan-made. We will be the leaders in manufacturing in this state. We will be the leaders in agriculture in this state. We will have students with world-class educations in this state. And we will make sure that anyone can have an amazing job in this state.
I love it. She's fighting back. And of course, lots of folks, you got to be watching. The next couple of weeks is going to be very interesting. I think what you see from her, you're really going to like. But anyway, if we got to have those conversations, Whitmer, what she did the last couple of years, folks, to our kids, to the seniors in nursing homes, to our businesses, to the economy. The fact that we're still having these conversations is just mind-boggling to me. And there are people out there saying, yeah, but look, you could do what you want with your vote, but just realize and be realistic about what happens when you do such a thing. We need every vote. Every vote counts right now. We need every vote to overcome all of the shenanigans, all the games that are being played. I showed you this earlier. And we talked to Patrick what's happening with the Michigan Grassroots Alliance and how they're going to go out there and they're going to hold those tailgating events and make sure that there aren't shenanigans happening at the drop boxes. But what about this? Flint, Michigan. Clerk resigns after election groups call out lopsided number of Democrat poll watchers. The Federalist had this story. Did you see this reported anywhere on any of the local TV channels? Did you see this reported anywhere in the newspaper? No. Is the Free Press covering this? Is the Detroit News covering this? This is what these people, this is like every other day for them. This is a walk in the park. This type of stuff happens all the time. Anyway, the stakes, I don't think I can tell you. I don't think I can oversell how high the stakes are, folks. I don't think I can. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to oversell, to over-talk about what the real issues are here in what we're facing here, particularly in Michigan. Just days after an 80-year-old woman was attacked, shot in the back while canvassing against radical, extreme, anti-parent rights ballot initiative. Still waiting for Whitmer and Nessel to condemn this violent left-wing extremism. We got no words on the vandalism at the Ottawa County GOP. Nothing on that. Nothing on that. And I won't hold my breath. We won't hear a word. They want to paint Republicans as being radical and extreme. The truth is that they are. How about this for radical extremism? Americans have now lost an average of $4,200 in annual income since Biden took office, and the media is silent. Silent. We got crickets. That's about it. David Hogg out there, you know who he is from the Parkland days. He's out there running around. He and Greta Thunberg are two peas in a pod. Running out there, telling people on Twitter, the second Republicans take the House, they're going to impeach Joe Biden. I don't think this guy realizes what kind of a great campaign message this is exactly for Republicans. He thinks it's the opposite, the other way around. No. If they ran out there and said that right now, oh my goodness. Yes, April, the debate is coming, but Gretchen would not debate. She would, the voting is happening right now. Absentee ballot voting is happening right now. She wouldn't agree to a debate until October something. So imagine that. And yet votes are happening as we speak. Folks all over. Oh, what else do I have for you? I got some news. I got some good news. I got to have some good news. How about that? We'll get to some of it. You want some of the good news first and foremost? This, folks, what's happening here isn't just a thing that's happening here in Michigan or it's happening in the U.S. Folks, what we're seeing is happening worldwide right now. People are rising up because of all the radical left extremism that's happening they've been subjected to. Whatever they touch turns right to what. They used to say that Donald Trump had the Midas touch, right? Teflon Don, the Midas touch. Well, Biden's the exact opposite. And so's every single other leftist. In fact, so much so that over in Italy, do you see the good news? The new Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, elected over the weekend, and this is what she had to say. I think you gotta hear this. It adequately, now some of it's kind of like subtitles, etc. It's tough to listen to, but it adequately describes what's happening throughout the world right now.
Potrei farne tante altre di queste domande.
This is about what we are doing here today. Why is the family an enemy? Why is the family so frightening? There is a single answer to all these questions, because it defines us, because it defines our identity, because everything that defines us is now an enemy. For those who would like us to no longer have an identity and to simply be perfect consumer slaves. And so they attack national identity. They attack religious identity. They attack gender identity. They attack family identity. I can't define myself as an Italian, Christian, woman, mother. No. I must be citizen X, gender X, parent 1, parent 2. I must be a number. Because when I am only a number, when I no longer have an identity or roots, then I will be the perfect slave at the mercy of financial speculators. The perfect consumer. That's the reason why. That's why we inspire so much fear. That's why this event inspires so much fear. Because we do not want to be numbers. We will defend the value of the human being. Every single human being, because each of us has a unique genetic code that is unrepeatable. And like it or not, that is sacred. We will defend it. We will defend God, country, and family. Those things that disgust people so much. We will do it to defend our freedom. Because we will never be slaves and simple consumers at the mercy of financial speculators. That is our mission. That is why, as I came here today, Chesterton wrote more than a century ago. Let's see if I can find it. Fires will be kindled to testify that 2 and 2 make 4. Swords will be drawn to prove that leaves are green in summer. That time has arrived. We are ready. Thank you. Wow. That is powerful stuff, folks. Powerful stuff. Deb says, no wonder they hate her. She's fantastic. I've yet to see folks on the left celebrate the election of the first female prime minister. History was made today, folks. History was made. Now both Italy and Sweden are both politically conservative, Nicole said. Absolutely. And what's next? America. I'm telling you, there is something magnificent that is happening across the globe. People are rising up. The Great Reset or the Great Awakening? Which one do you choose? The Great Reset is regressive, and it sends us back into a hell that dark ages, that I don't even think we can even completely comprehend. The Great Awakening, people coming back to their senses, coming back to their roots, the traditional values of family, faith, freedom. That's what we're facing. So I give you a little hope today, amongst all the darkness, a little light amongst it all, so that you can be aware of what we're exactly facing, what we're seeing happening, and of course, what is playing out. Do you want to know how CNN described her today? How CNN described this woman. The first female prime minister in Italy. They compared her to Mussolini. Listen to this. Giorgia Meloni has claimed victory. Claimed victory. Just notice how they do this. Giorgia Meloni has claimed victory in general election that seems to set to install her as Italy's first prime minister. They didn't say Giorgia Meloni won. Giorgia Meloni won election. She is the first prime. No, they said that she has claimed victory and she'll be installed. Very careful. You got to be very careful how you watch what they say. And of course, what they say is so important. The following sentence. She's Italy's first female prime minister, leading the most far-right government since the fall of Benito Mussolini. They are comparing this woman who talked about faith, family, freedom. They are comparing her to Benito Mussolini. Do you know how scared they are, folks? She's a 45-year-old mother from Rome. For such a time as this, you and I and the rest of us, we're all here. We are uniquely designed, created, and crafted for such a time as this. I know you watch, because I do too. I know you watch the news and you think to yourself, I just wish that we could go back to some sort of normal. I just wish half the time that I could unplug and go live in a cabin in the woods. I wish that I could just unplug, go take my family, live in a cabin in the woods, no internet, raise a couple of chickens, maybe a cow, some goats, sheep. I don't know. I just have a little bit of a farm, like a homestead, and then unplug. Unplug from the world. Sometimes it's all I wish I could do, but you know what? We are not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to run and cower and hide in a cave. We're supposed to confront. We're supposed to encourage each other. And we are supposed to stand for such a time as this. For such a time as this. They all go on to describe her as a 45-year-old mother from Rome, deeply conservative, openly anti-LGBTQ, and has threatened to place same-sex unions, which were legalized in Italy in 2016, under review. She has also called abortion a tragedy, raising fears for the future of women's rights in the country. What about the women in the womb? What about their rights? Meloni entered Italy's crowded political scene in 2006 and co-founded the Brothers of Italy in 2012, a party whose agenda is rooted in, quote, Euroscepticism and anti-immigration policies. So see, she's just a racist, folks. She's just a racist. The first female prime minister, these people who tell us they're about women's rights, the first female prime minister in Italy, and not a peep of anything good. It's all horrible, negative, bad. Look at her. Look at how horrible she is. Massive protests are underway right now in Iran. And you know what? They're not going to sway this administration's attempt to work out some sort of nuclear deal with Iran. That's according to, on CBS News, Deface the Nation, advisor to Biden, Jake Sullivan, who said, no, don't get it twisted. Everything's good. We continue down our path.
I have to ask you about Iran and these protests led by women after the death of this 22-year-old woman who didn't have her hair covered properly in the view of the morality police.
Well, wait a minute. What are you saying? Because you're not allowed to talk about this on the news. We haven't heard this story. These people that tell us they care about women's rights, we haven't heard this story about this woman at all. She was murdered. She was killed because she refused to wear the hijab. It's absolutely horrific. And yet the Biden administration, who says they care about women and they care about women's rights and all this other stuff, is supporting the Iranian government. They want to give them nukes. They want to give these people nukes. And she's asking the right question. But listen to his answer.
Police. She died. How significant is this? And is it making you reassess the offer you put on the table to lift sanctions on Iran in regard to its nuclear program?
Well, first, Margaret, the fact that we are in negotiations with Iran on its nuclear program is in no way impacting our willingness and our vehemence in speaking about what is happening on the streets of Iran. We have, in fact, taken tangible steps to sanction those morality police who caused the death of Mahsa Amini. We've taken steps to make it easier for Iranians to be able to get access to the internet and access to communications technologies that will allow them to talk to one another and to talk to the world.
There's a revolution happening in Iran right now. We're not hearing about it. Well, this guy is, but we've done all this. No, you still want to give them, nukes. The truth, it cuts. It cuts like a knife. But that's what's required to set you free. That's where we are right now. I've got some Rona report news I want to get to as well, but Matt says the largest, this is from the local supporter chat, largest food processing plant in the world caught fire yesterday in Paris, France. Biden is mad because Russia isn't exporting fertilizer. Lots of things for us to realize that we need to be up on. The gas prices Matt told us about last week when the refinery caught on fire. He's watching all of us, paying close attention to it all. These things we've got to be aware of. Get ready. If you haven't already done so, go to preparewithjustin.com. Look at the water filtration systems. They've got a 4-week emergency food supply. They've got on sale right now for 20% off. Whether you need something like that water filtration system, we've got one of these. We absolutely love it. It helps filter out a lot of the harmful things that are in your water, whether it's tap water, well water. You could take that thing to a lake and put lake water in it and be able to drink it, or a river. Reduces up to 99.9999% of 206 contaminants. It's worth a look because who knows what is coming. Which disaster, natural or man-made? We've got Hurricane Ian down in Florida. You want to be prepared in some ways in those issues, but also whether it's man-made. Some of these fires, people looking at it and thinking, what in the world? Now, there are fires that happen in these plants. That is a thing that happens. However, to see the sheer number of how many of these fires happen in these food plants is, I mean, it's wild. A refinery fire the other day. It's all sheer chaos. Doesn't it look kind of, I don't know, convenient? All these things happening at the same never met a crisis they didn't like. Folks on the left. Rahm Emanuel, famous saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. I need to put the tinfoil hat on for very long, but let's just keep it real, shall we? Preparewithjustin.com. No matter what's coming our way, we've got to be ready for it. Preparewithjustin.com. That's the folks in My Patriot Supply. Go to preparewithjustin.com. All right. I want to tell you, I got Rona report. Should I get to that? Let's do it. Fire up the Rona report. I heard some today that has to be discussed. Oh, the high priest of health. St. Anthony of Wuhan, patron saint of pandemics. Chode! All right, that's about all I can play. I don't want to get hit by the copyright police again. Oh my gosh, that's like, you can't hardly do anything. Talk about the news and you get dinged. So I saw this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but this was from the FDA. Was it the FDA now saying that healthy young children should not get boosters? That's what I saw. Healthy young children should not get the boosters. Healthy young adults, young children, the young healthy folks should not get them. Is that the latest I think I read? Well, it's been quiet. Let's be honest. It's kind of a quiet thing. Oh, and Fauci's out there making the rounds as well. Talking about how it would be problematic if people found out what was going on behind the scenes. Problematic. Fauci tried to weasel his way out of responsibility for the vast harms he caused while advising two administrations about COVID. He pitifully tried to make the case for having to break a few eggs to make an omelet, rather. We heard him last week say, yes, no, we knew that these things would be a problem, but How about this? CNBC, nearly 90% of the U.S. Navy hospital ship in New York is empty amid blah, blah, blah. That was the headline back in there. You remember that? This hospital cost $52 million. It treated 79 patients. Do you remember that? Fauci tried to silence any opposing opinions. Remember the Great Barrington Declaration? Interesting stuff. Oh, and I think, hang on, let me see. Rand Paul. I'm still trying to confirm this, but I read this morning. Rand Paul says he will do a special counsel on Dr. Fauci for gain-of-function research if the Republicans take the Senate. How about that? Rand Paul announces special counsel for Dr. Fauci gain-of-function Wuhan lab and vaccine approvals in next Senate. Of course, Fauci's set to step down. Just saw a post on Facebook to get boosted for 5 to 11-year-olds. Available soon. Oh, that'd be great. All the boosters. I hear you, Shelley. A NASA spacecraft will deliberately slam into an asteroid today. Look, I shouldn't laugh about this, but sometimes I think you have to. You have to have a little fun. Going to slam into an asteroid today. We're just hours away from this. Steve was sharing it earlier. There's some sort, I don't know if, what was that movie? Did you watch the movie? The Aerosmith, remember, don't want to miss that. Was it just called Asteroid? What was that thing called? The thing is called Draco. which sounds like dragon to me. Everything they do has some sort of weird tie-in, doesn't it? Armageddon, that was it. Yes, Armageddon. I wonder what Draco means. Let's just type that in. Dragon. Oh, I was right. Draco is the Latin word for serpent or dragon. Okay. All right. Look, you know what? I tried as long as I could. I'm going to have to put it back on. Why are they sending a rocket named Dragon, or whatever this is, a spacecraft named Dragon, to bump into an asteroid? Serpent or dragon? What? Think about that. Is the imagery a little weird there? There's something to this. Oh, by the way, we all survived. That's a great point, Patty. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Actually, it was the 24th. But you know what's very strange? And I kind of talked about that. I said, look, you know, no matter what happens, God is on the throne. So I don't get caught up in all this stuff. But God is on the throne. September 24th came and went. Lots of folks were freaked out that something big was going to happen. But I will tell you the timing of it I thought was kind of interesting. And I think it'd be interesting to hear from the people who are screaming that, oh my gosh, something is coming. What they think happened. But I found out, and there's a lot of end times stuff, which is something to pay attention to. The temple, third temple, they are working on putting that together now in Israel. The 5 red heifers, and they've got to have spotless, perfect red heifers. We talked about this in order to do their sacrifices there at the temple, and they get that up and running. And this is also that the Antichrist can arise on the scene. The dragon, the serpent. And what else was it? Oh yeah, the this was what? Did you see the Prime Minister of Israel said at the UN that they needed to have a 2-state solution. In other words, they wanted to have peace. They wanted a 2-state solution. He said this at the UN just the other day, calling for, along with the Palestinians, a 2-state solution and hopefully peace. And that brings us a little closer, little makes the spidey hairs kind of tingle a little bit.
Despite all the obstacles, still today, a large majority of Israelis support the vision of the 2-state solution. I am one of them. We have only one condition: that the future Palestinian state will be a peaceful one, that it will not become another terror base from which to threaten the well-being and the very existence of Israel, that we will have the ability to protect the security of all the citizens of Israel at all times. Despite all the obstacles, still today, a large majority of Israelis support the vision of the 2-state solution.
That's kind of wild. And there's something happening every day, it seems. Something new that's kind of happening every day in those. If you're looking at the kind of the weird things that are happening in the world, something new every day. So again, we survived it. Did you mark yourself safe on Facebook from the 24th? Yeah. I hear you. I hear you, folks. Man, oh man. These days, never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Lots to continue with, and I think tomorrow we'll have even more. I appreciate you being here with us. Stick around if you haven't done it yet. Stick around and check our let's see this. Yeah. Our locals feed. If you haven't been there yet, go join. It doesn't cost anything to become a member. You can become a member for free. I'm posting a lot of exclusive content there and special stuff for members as well over on locals. That's where you can join the chat. In fact, during the show, we've got a chat there. Now, this is directly for me. So if you want to send me a message, you can click this join chat button. That's where Matt sent me something earlier. I post all kinds of good stuff. I didn't post this to anywhere else other than locals yesterday, but it was National Daughter Day. And, I've got one little girl who is about to turn 22 months, and I got another one on the way. Talked about her as a blessing. So many great things. Plus, you can also send us messages like this. A lot of good stuff happening right on top. And look at Ray Ann's posting. What an awesome day. I love it when things come together. Thank you, Pam Vanderhoff, for helping me get these Proposal 3 flyers out to the friends in Lowell and passing some out while we were out there. Very cool. So lots of different things happening. You can continue the conversation. Matter of fact, I sent a very special alert out to people about gas going up yesterday. That was important for folks to know. If you haven't already grabbed it and it hasn't jumped yet, you may want to do it. Analysts predicting 25 to 65 cents a gallon in these following different states and areas. All of that coming, as like I said, to members who are on following us at locals. So go to locals, justinbarclay.com/locals, justinbarclay.com/locals. We continue to pray for the folks in Florida that God would move that hurricane out of the way or diminish its power and capacity. Nothing about the donkeypox lately, or the monkeypox. Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Lots of things to cover. We'll continue to keep an eye out for it all. Thank you, as always, folks, for being here with us. Sorry that we had the technical issues that we had earlier, but we do appreciate you kind of walking through it with us and making sure that we were up and running. Always a pleasure. All right, wishing you the best, folks. Make it a great day, and God bless.